The 1964 mutiny of the armies of East Africa was a shocker and unexpected by the leadership of East Africa, just like the violent revolution in Zanzibar, which came 6 days earlier on 12th January 1964. Tanganyika, Uganda, and Kenya, in quick succession, bore the brunt of the mutiny. In this particular context, I've picked Tanganyika stroke Tanzania to explain how the country fared with the mutiny and the major changes that took place. Mutiny took place. The commander of Tanganyika forces was a Briton by the name of Brigadier Douglas Sholto. He commanded 2 army battalions based in Dar es Salaam and in Tabora. The 1st and 2nd battalions, respectively, were located. It was the army detachment at Nachingwea. At one moment, Dr. Nyerere suggested that Tanganyika did not need an army and actively thought that this could be replaced by Jeshi ya Kujenga Nchi, an army to build the nation. However, at the change of heart, he suggested to Dr. Milton Obote, the president of Uganda in 1962, to have a joint army between Uganda and Tanganyika. Kenya could be enjoined once they achieved independence. The idea was rejected by Lieutenant Colonel Tillet, the British commander of the Uganda Army. Advised Dr. Milton Obote against this on the strength of the fact that Tanganyika forces were generally indisciplined. This projection was right, considering that it was in Tanganyika where the mutiny started. First, it was a Tanganyika army captain by the name of Elisha Kavana. Kavana studied at Makerere and London University for his Bachelor of Science degree. He then joined the Tanganyika Army and proceeded to Sandhurst Military Training College in Britain. Later, he had an opportunity of attending several courses at Mons Military Training Institute, also in Britain. At the time Elisha Kavana took his leave, he had an opportunity of visiting military barracks in Tabora, Nakuru, and Jinja, Uganda, to prepare them for the mutiny. This is how the mutiny of the East African armies was born. Tanganyika Sergeant Ilogi Ihingo, a Second World War veteran, was the key leader of the mutiny that sought to improve terms of service among the soldiers. He hailed from Tabora, where Kavana also hailed from. Soldiers wanted better salaries and promotion in the army and replacement of British officers. Tanganyika soldiers destroyed property and attacked Asians and Arabs. When East African heads of state, that is Nyerere, Kenyatta, and Obote, made a decision to request the British government to send in troops, some thought it was akin to invading their countries. With the invitation, British soldiers stormed the Kolito Army Barracks, now renamed Lugalo, from the sea and through airborne attacks by paratroopers and commandos. Shells hit the Kolito Barracks, while paratroopers from the aircraft carrier, the Sentu, landed in Dar es Salaam. The attack, Sergeant Ihingo rushed to the telecoms and sent a message to the United Nations asking for help. He claimed a foreign team was invading Tanganyika. He signed the communique as Sergeant Lieutenant Colonel Ihingo. In the attack by the British soldiers, it was Brigadier Douglas Sholto who commanded the British Army. He attacked the Kolito soldiers. He called on the soldiers of Kolito to hand in their weapons. Soldiers were killed by the time the barracks was taken. Soldiers proceeded to capture the 2nd Battalion at Tabora and the army camp at Nachingwea. By the 26th January 1964, calm had been restored in Tanganyika. Certainly felt a bit embarrassed by the whole process of getting soldiers from Britain, the former colonial power, to put down a revolt in independent Tanganyika. Mutiny, Nyerere proceeded to dissolve the 2 battalions of the Tanganyika Army and to put the mutiny leaders under trial. The 15 mutiny leaders were given varying sentences for their roles in plotting the 5-day mutiny exercise. 2,500 British soldiers were mobilized in the countries of Tanganyika, Uganda, and Kenya. During the crisis, American warships in the Red Sea were directed towards the coast of East Africa. In 1964, Nyerere called in the Nigerian army to assist with the reorganization of the Tanganyika military forces. Most of the soldiers of Tanganyika Rifles were dismissed. It was largely because of the close friendship between President Julius Nyerere and President Sir Abubakar Tawafa Balewa of Nigeria that Nigeria provided a battalion of soldiers numbering 1,000 men to participate in the exercise of reorganizing the Tanganyika Army. It is largely because of the close friendship between President Julius Nyerere and President Sir Abubakar Tawafa Balewa of Nigeria that Nigeria provided a battalion of soldiers numbering 1,000 men to participate in the exercise. Exemplified a new spirit of cooperation and Pan-Africanism among post-independent African leaders. It was in this spirit that Nyerere also supported other countries on the continent when they needed it. Dr. Julius Nyerere personally presided over the welcoming ceremony of the 3rd Battalion of the Nigerian Army. Nigerian Army spread throughout Tanganyika. Recruitment and training missions created a lasting bond between Dr. Julius Nyerere and Sir Abubakar Tawafa Balewa. When the training mission ended, a new army had been created. Tanganyika forces were sent to Zanzibar, which had been integrated with Tanzania to form Jeshi la Taifa la Tanzania. They had an opportunity to mold a national army. Was one of the most disciplined in Africa. Tanzania was able to weather many storms in the years ahead. Discipline in the Tanzania army enabled the Tanzanian army to defeat the army of President Idi Amin. This army that participated in training freedom fighters from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia. These nations of Africa are proud. Mrisho Hagai Sarakikia was the first chief of the Tanzania Defense Forces. He was given the command of the Tanzania People's Defense Forces. After the mutiny of 1964, when he was a captain, he rose to become a major general before he retired in 1974. Finally, it is important to conclude the discussion as to whether Tanganyika was invaded by British and Nigerian troops. This was not the case. The soldiers from both nations were invited by Tanzania, which is an independent country. Please subscribe, comment, and give a like.